Hail, Lairzens. I am Dungeon Master Wyvern, and in this very special episode of my Ultima Online podcast, I have the honor of speaking to a pillar of the Ultima Online developer and player community. And that person is none other than the legendary Mesanna. Better known outside of the fantastical realm of Britannia as Bonnie Armstrong, she began her journey with Ultima Online as a humble player back in 1997. From there, she rose through the ranks, eventually becoming the producer for Ultima Online under Broadsword Online Games. And in that 26-year journey, Bonnie has overseen countless updates and played a pivotal role in steering key expansions for Ultima Online, including the Stygian Abyss and Time of Legends expansions, and the classic High Seas booster pack. And her legacy continues alive and well today, as she leads customer support and the crucial game and event moderators that do so much to help and bring life to the Ultima Online player community. Join me now, together with my friends Nemesis and Shamynfyre, as we speak to an authentic Ultima Online legend, the one and only Bonnie Mesanna Armstrong. Before we get underway with the full conversation here, I think it would help to have a very quick round of introductions for everyone who's going to be part of this conversation. I'd like to begin with my co-hosts here. So we'll start off with Nemesis. If you could just quickly introduce yourself for us and a little bit about your background and history with Ultima Online.
So hello, everyone. I am Nemesis. I have been playing this game since 97. I discovered it in a friend's basement while we were all gaming, and the first time I ever laid eyes on it, I was hooked. And incredible game. I played it off and on for a long time, and especially with new legacy coming about, a new flush of life, especially with my little one who wants to play this game one day.
Thank you so much, Nemesis. And over to my colleague Shamynfyre.
Hi. I am a new player to Ultima Online. Just very, very recently started playing, and also indie game dev artist, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Mesanna as a fellow woman game dev. I appreciate hearing about her stories.
And we appreciate you being here, Shamynfyre. And finally, to our honored guest, Bonnie Mesanna Armstrong.
Hello. I think everybody kind of knows me, or should probably. I was the producer. Now I'm not sure what I am. I'm just here. I don't know that I actually have a title anymore. But I am over the GMs and EMs currently. So if you have any issues, feel free to email me. If there's an issue or something, I really do want to hear about it. But also understand that I will stand up for my EMs all day long unless they do something wrong. So I do investigate all issues. So everything is valid until it becomes different.
Bonnie, we're so excited to head into this conversation with you, and thank you for that brief introduction as to your profile and your involvement with Ultima Online. And off we go.
My pleasure.
And we've been looking forward to this conversation with you for a couple of weeks now. So just to start us off, I want to thank you for making time out of your busy schedule working for Broadsword Online Games and the Ultima Online player community to join us for this conversation.
My pleasure. I love talking.
You are in the right place, Bonnie. This podcast is a great forum to connect with amazing people who are all drawn together through this game as a service that we've loved for so many decades. So let's start off with a very simple and hopefully easy question for you here. How did you arrive at your online handle of Mesanna, Bonnie, and what does that handle mean for you?
It's actually from a book. Jordan Armstrong. We have actually a Jordan Armstrong, Robert Armstrong, and it was spelled different. It was Nessana. And I changed it up because I like the name of it. So I just made it up to what I want, what it is you see right here. So it was from the Wheel of Time series. Rob Jordan is the author.
I have just started watching the adaptation of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Have you seen it?
No, but I have Amazon Prime, and I'm going to go look for it.
Hopefully it doesn't disappoint. I know usually the books are always better, but
This
I'm
is true.
enjoying it.
So tell us a little bit about the handle. So, obviously you're reading the Wheel of Time. What was it about that character that spoke out to you? You're like, yeah, I want to use that as sort of my player handle.
To me, she was just a powerful, and I just liked the characters. I love the books, and I just wanted to use something from there. And it was so different than anything else. And since we are not name unique, I had to go off the path and find something that hadn't been used 400 times already.
That all makes very good sense. Let's take a look at your character paper doll here. Those of you who are listening or maybe watching this video when we upload and publish this interview with Mesanna, Bonnie, she has a parrot. She is rocking leather shorts and sandals. A very humble getup here in a leather bustier. Tell us a little bit about your paper doll. Why butcher knife as well? So tell us a little bit about how you put together your paper doll here and what inspired you for this look.
The parrot is actually because I used to have a macaw, a blue and gold macaw named Taco. So that's why I wear the parrot, because I really miss him. Whenever I moved to California, I had to get rid of him. So I gave him to a good home. The rest of it is just because I like it. I change colors depending on, Easter, but whatever season it is, I'll just change colors of my outfit because I just like variety more than anything. The butcher knife, I think it was because I was testing something.
Gotcha. I love it. And it totally makes sense that, your outfit changes season to season, as so many players also do here in Ultima Online. Speaking of players, I want to acknowledge everyone who we have here at the Morn's Basement voice channel on the Wyvern's Lair Discord who've joined us for this conversation in real time. I especially want to shout out my great friend Queen Tiamat, longtime member of this player community, and our colleague Violet from Ka, also a longtime Ultima Online player, big part of our community here in UO. Thank you all for being here. And I will throw over the next question to, Nemesis here.
All right. So when did you first learn about Ultima Online, and what made you want to check it out?
I first learned, I was not playing Ultima, and a friend of mine, my dearest, oldest friend, started playing and said, you should come play with me. I'm like, okay. So I did, and I was hooked from then on. And I don't know if any of you guys remember, but TC1 used to be a QA shard.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, because we would wipe it all the time. And I went there with her and we played for a while, and it was a constant wipe, make another character, that kind of thing. But it was fun and we enjoyed it. We started testing with the devs, and I started writing up my bugs to them, and the manager is like, hold on a second, she's pretty good. Let's make an external testing team. We'll put her over it. So that didn't work because nobody was really dedicated. They wanted fun, but they didn't want anything else,
Mm-hmm.
So they dropped it and said, okay, we'll pay you guys, but you can only have 10 people. And I'm like, okay. So, it wasn't really a lot of money. It's just something to probably pay for the account more than anything. And so we did that, and everything started doing pretty well. And I got an offer to go to another game to do this, and I explained it to them. They're like, wait a minute, give me a day. And I'm like, oh, okay. This was at EA, not Mythic. And they got back to me and said, okay, how about this? We'll give you this much money. You can either stay in California, which is where I lived,
Mm-hmm.
or you can come to Texas. And if you come to Texas, you'll make a little bit more money. But if you stay, you're going to make like a couple thousand less. And I'm like, I'll stay at home. That's, there's no, nothing about this that I'm going to leave, So that's how I got started. And then it was one thing after another, and a promotion here, a raise here that I'd never really asked for. But I'm sure for people that work, you don't sit there and wait for somebody to tell you what to do every minute. I'm not a micromanager at all. I just see something that needs to be done and I do it. And all of a sudden I was now the producer, So I climbed, and I wasn't even trying to climb, to be honest with you. I just wanted to play UO, but you're like, no, we need you to be the associate manager. And I'm like, another damn producer. It's a associate development manager. And I just said another damn producer all the time. Nobody needs that, but whatever.
So were you like were you big into games prior to discovering Ultima Online, or were you fascinated by multi-user dungeons or, predecessors to UO? Just out of curiosity, because, it was a very first of its kind game. So I'm wondering, what was your history to gaming as a hobby before you discovered UO as a player?
Okay, I'm getting ready to kind of tell my age, I think, but the first game that I ever played was The Realm.
Oh, nice. I played The Realm too.
Did you really?
I did. Back in like
and,
6, yeah.
And on AOL, we played a game there, at Neverwinter Nights. And then The Realm. Yeah, I know. I'm really showing my age here, huh? But oh my God. But
me too, I guess. So I played The Realm as well.
I guess we're just all old farts, huh?
I guess so. Young at heart, old farts. There you go.
Of course. That's the best kind, right?
Right.
But I have been, in my position with UO for 26 years. I don't think anybody has ever worked on one game for that long.
Yes.
I'd be really surprised. Everybody tells me like, no, you're a dinosaur. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
wow, I think that's amazing. That's incredible.
Well, I don't know if it's really hard for a woman to be in the gaming industry and hold a position and stuff, So just like everything else, you've got your ups and downs. I'm sure everybody does, but it's different. It's a little bit different. You have to do more,
Neverwinter Nights Online. That, I grew up reading about that game. I've long been aware of it. It was like the first attempt at a multi-user experience using a very prominent brand, obviously Dungeons and Dragons and Neverwinter Nights back in the 90s. Just to take us a little further back, just to follow that journey in your interest in online gaming, how did you find out about Neverwinter Nights Online, and what do you remember about playing that game? And do you have any friendships that date all the way back to that experience of yours?
Just my husband.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's where you met at Neverwinter Nights Online?
Yeah, we are a gaming industry. Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's amazing. Tell us about that.
We were in the same guild. And we just kind of started talking, and then we went to phone conversations, and then a trip out to California. And then it's like, okay, we want to do this, So we got together, and that was the every day, So we've been together a long time. We've been together. We have been together so long that we forget our anniversaries.
I gotta say that makes you the truest kind of MMO player. The fact that you guys got together, playing a game together. And that's a story that we've heard over and over again about couples coming together, across the world or here in the US from different states and bonding over a shared game experience like Neverwinter Nights Online or Ultima. So it's really cool that that's actually a part of your actual personal biography, you and Misk.
Yeah, I married my best friend,
That's
fun. Oh, that's nice.
And
nice.
We haven't killed each other, even though we've pretty much been together 24/7 for many years. And we still haven't killed each other. So yay. See, it can be done.
Very cool. Very cool. Shamynfyre has a strong creative background, as you may have heard in our introduction at the very top of this podcast interview. Shamynfyre comes from a art centric development background in gaming. Is that correct, Shamynfyre? Is that the best way to describe you?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I am a new player to Ultima Online, just very recently.
Oh, well,
But thank you. I back when Ultima Online started, I was in college, and at that time I was doing traditional art, like oil painting and ceramics. And honestly, game dev never really, I didn't even see it as an option at that point. And it's only as I've gotten older and enjoyed playing games myself that I ended up going back to school and for digital art and animation, and have been working in game dev since then, since about 2015.
are you a 2D or 3D artist?
3D primarily, although I do 2D stuff too, and it is kind of part of creating textures and things like that.
Right. Very cool.
And to Shamynfyre's credit, she actually does have a published game out on Steam, which is still quite a formidable task. So I really do admire Shamynfyre and her team and their indie developer spirit. You want to take the next question for us, Shamynfyre?
Sure. I was just gonna say I can understand why they asked you to be part of their team. Having QA is vital to game dev. And I was just wondering, when you were looking for people to join you in that, what kinds of things would you look for?
Good question.
Join me on the team, the UO team or the EM team, because I have two different teams.
Either one, whichever one you would like to answer.
Okay, so Chronix was actually one of my EMs. I'll start with him.
Okay.
It was actually one of my EMs. And I asked him, I think he was working at an aquarium or something in New Jersey. And I asked him if he'd be willing to come, contract and work as a dev for UO. And he went, oh, yeah, So, and then I got him actually hired on full time after he served out his 90 days or whatever, But what I look for is actually knowledge of the game and how they interact with people, and when to keep your mouth shut and when to actually answer a question, So and I also want to make sure everybody that is hired will actually gel with the people that are already on the team. I hate egos, and unfortunately devs and some artists have massive egos. So they can't take I'm not dogging you guys, I swear, but they just can't take criticism, at all. So, but the guys that I have on the UO team, they don't have the ego issue. Nobody's smarter than anybody else or better than anybody else. And it is a team, that is like a family. We fight. We don't hit each other, but, we go away mad and we come back and it's like, okay, we're done. Steven was actually hired by the producer at the time, not me. So do you remember Calvin?
That would be a Nemesis question.
I remember the name. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we did he was the black guy, really nice guy, but he'd always look at me and go, can I answer that question? And I'd go, nope.
Checking. Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of people come and go. The problem, this is really funny. Excuse me. Most of the people that are on UO make the mistake of leaving to go to a higher game or, whatever.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden they're laid off and we're still here. So, what does that tell you? People, if you get on my team, you should stay here. So, but Michael, my husband, used to train the new people coming in for QA. And once he'd get them trained, they were gone. They wanted to go to another game and then they were laid off. And we're like, okay, this is ridiculous. But
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
No,
please.
I'm done.
No, please. You were about to say something. I want you to have a chance to complete what you were saying here.
I just want to say that everybody that is on the team right now is very dedicated to it. The artists that we have are really good artists, and they understand what we're doing. And the new developer is really good, so I'm glad that we hired him. But that's what
That's wonderful. Yeah.
No, Bonnie, a lot of what you shared here, I think makes a lot of sense. I think that from what we understand, looking to you folks as the developers for this game, is that each and every member of the present developer team has an abiding passion for what Ultima Online is and represents. What it means for the many thousands of players who spend time playing this game as a service. So that definitely makes sense. And I also think it makes sense that if you feel very strongly about a game that you're working on or a game that you play, that you'd have strong opinions, and occasionally there'd be, flints and sparks when maybe you might have differing opinions about where to go within the development team. But I just think that, it speaks very well of the current team, that many of the members there have been working on this game for several years, if not a decade, or decades in the case of yourself.
Yeah, 8 to 10 years, some of them. I think the
Yeah.
lowest one is 8 years, I think, or maybe 10. I don't know. Years really flew by.
So what do you think it is? You made a really great point here about the stability of Ultima Online as a place as a game to work on. What do you think it is about the first sort of commercially successful MMO that has made it such a kind of a stable work experience for a would-be developer? What is the magic?
Well, the magic is we care, and we are proud of everything that we put out, and if it's not ready, we don't put it out. So that's a major part right there. Yeah.
Nemesis?
I think that
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's important where you don't have that. Plus, we interact with our players a lot, sometimes too much because we can't do it 400 ways. I'm sorry. We don't give out I win buttons. I'm sorry, but we do take all the comments from the players and we listen to them, whether you think we do or not. And then we can go, you know what? This would be great, but it'd be even better if we did this to it, kind of thing. So a lot of the ideas evolve into something that you might already see in game, so that's what I think really makes UO.
Well said. Nemesis, you have next.
All right. This is going to be a little selfish because it's one of mine. What is one of your favorite character templates as an Ultima Online player?
Oh God, I got several.
I figured you might.
The one that frustrated me the most before all the new stuff came in was taming. The last 5 points to get to 100 was such a pain in the rear. So I love the taming one, but I also recognize that there's sometimes you just don't need it. And then I like the mage too, so those are probably my most favorite ones.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, no, I was telling Wyvern a lot. Because I'm still playing I like kind of like the classic mage on New Legacy, but I used to love the creativity that players would come up with, just you could pick whatever skills you want and see how it jives and come up with some really, really cool characters.
I have seen some people take this to the extreme. No kidding, right? But I've actually seen spreadsheets of people going, okay, if you do this and then do this and do this, you're going to get this kill. Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh my God, you're supposed to have fun. That's not fun. I don't want to have to read a manual to play my character. I want to just play it. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think that
go ahead. Please go ahead, Shamynfyre.
well, I think that it's really neat that you like to kind of learn by experience, and I think that that speaks to you were talking about how when you first started you were on the QA shard and liked creating lots of different possibilities and being open to that. I didn't really have a question, sorry.
No, very.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bonnie, you've been playing Ultima Online and this is actually something really great that came up prior to the start of the interview here, but we were talking before we got underway, and you made this point that you not only work on this game as a senior developer, but you also enjoy this game simply from the perspective of the player experience, and you and your husband, Michael, have been playing Ultima Online consistently for essentially the time that you've been working on this game. And I'm very curious because we all have these stories about sort of like our first kind of memories with a game like Ultima Online. But do you have any standout memories from your earliest days as a player that kind of have kind of stayed with you all these many years?
Oh God, so many. But I think the first one that just rattled me, being a new player and all this, a thief stole my keys to my house. So I went home and I'm like, oh my God, he can't get my house. He can't get my house, and I pulled in, a fighter, and I went invisible and I waited for the guy to come back, and I knew he was coming, and he did. He did not disappoint me. And I killed him and got my key back. And then he went off and rezzed and came back, and I went, oh, well, that was stupid of you. And I killed him again. It's like over and over and over, it's like, okay, you were just dumb at this point. So, bye. And I think the other, I really have a lot. So I'm going to go with the ones that I think are.
Well, I have a quick question for you, because that's kind of scary, because I have read that in the earliest days of Ultima Online, that's how players got into their home. They would have a key. Now during that sort of very early era back in 97 and 98, when it sort of this freewheeling Wild West sandbox, you had thieves who would sort of wait out at like major kind of like cities or, the Bank of Britain, and actually go ahead and try to steal what they could from players' backpacks as they were passing by. And prized possession would be the key to a player home. So if someone stole your key to your player home, could they essentially steal that home from you? How did it work?
Well, they could get it anytime they wanted to. The ownership didn't transfer with the key.
Okay.
It was based, and that's why you also, people would put houses all the way around the front door and do like a courtyard, when you could, of course, place many houses. And then that kind of left the safety of you or feeling safe that you can get in there, because the players could not teleport into there, so that was one way to do it. But yeah, if you lost your keys, you were just screwed.
Got you.
You lost your house.
Got you. Okay. Well,
not because it transfers to them, it's because they can get in anytime they want to.
Understood. Got you. Well, I'm glad that you were able to catch that thief and get back your key. Mm-hmm. There you go. Mesanna, a deadly player versus player.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, not nowadays anyway. I got people coming up to me going, let's fight. And I went, no, I cheat. I just like tell them, no, I'll cheat. Because I'm Mesanna, like I said.
You got tongue a little.
Because, and I'm also invulnerable. I'm like, dude, yellow, invulnerable, I'll fight you anyway. I said, okay. So I just slayed them on the spot, and I look at them and go, I told you I can't eat. And then I just rest them, and they think that's funny. So.
And speaking of funny, back to you. The floor is yours for those early memories that have stood the test of time for yourself as a player.
The banks. You already mentioned this once. I don't know how many. A lot of the old players, I'm sure, remember this. Bank sitting was a big thing. You could sell your wares if you're looking for or whatever. You'd go there or whatever. And there were so many thieves there. People had to put like their regs in several different containers so somebody couldn't just steal all your regs or whatever. And if they got a little bit, you still had a little bit more. And you never left the house without putting your key in the bank. But we did join a guild on Napa Valley. We were on Napa Valley at the time. It was intrinsic out in the woods. We took up space there, and we said nobody can pass this line with full plate armor on. And you had a choice of giving it your full plate or dying, and we just take it. So, we were nice about it, kind of, but we would take all the plate and stuff and give it to the noobs that, because we didn't kill them. So that was fun. It was an all-out war, though. I loved, we would disguise ourselves as the guild that we're going in to kill. And I know, we were really tricky. We put on their collar, and all this other stuff, and we would go in, and then all of a sudden we just start killing everybody.
Oh my goodness, Mesanna, you were a gangster.
Ruthless.
You're gonna love this one. How many of you remember vanquishing weapons?
That would be Nemesis, yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so and you knew where to go to fight to get your title of Great Lord or Great Lady, right?
Of course.
Okay. It's really funny because I actually had somebody steal my weapon one time. And I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. So we had like 40 people in there trying to kill him to get my weapon back. So that was fun.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, my goodness. Next question over to Shamynfyre.
Okay. What is one feature that you worked on as the producer for Ultima Online that you're especially proud of?
Oh, Lord. Can I just say UO?
Yes, you can.
I personally am very proud of myself for being in the game as long as I have, for not pissing off too many people. I have my share that I do upset, but life's like, it's like that. You're going to upset people sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of this game. I'm really proud of my team. I'm really proud of my EMs. And the EM program is all on me. I did it from start to finish this last time. Well, it was around before we brought it back, and it was like 3 months here, and then you have to be off 3 months. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. It's hard enough to train somebody and to build trust,
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of my EM team. I think they're a great group of people, and they work really hard and take a lot of grief from the players sometimes, which is not good, but it happens. So yeah, that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of my team, and I'm proud of both of my teams, actually. And I'm proud of what UO is still to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. As you should be, I think.
Nemesis, you got next.
All right. So obviously, minus my keep, what is one of the most creative things you've ever seen a UO player do?
I love that, Nemesis.
I actually have two.
Okay.
And these date back. The top of roofs, and they put all various tiles of different shapes, sizes, and colors and all. And then you look at it, and from the map view, and it's a face, or it's Mona Lisa, or whatever. I think that is awesome. That is so creative. And then whoever came up with, if you put in 6 robes and 1 chessboard and a table into a crate, set it down, and then crack it up, and then all of a sudden you got a piano, and I'm like, Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
That is so awesome. Remember those?
Oh yeah,
Whoever started that is really talented.
people are so creative when they coming up with the objects that are in game to make them into other objects. Yeah, it's very impressive.
I love going to all the shards and looking at the houses and the designs just to see what people do. And if you just, they're amazing. I'm not kidding you. They are absolutely amazing. Like, I look at this tower that I'm at, or this keep that I'm at right now, and I'm like, okay, this guy's a hoarder and he needs some medical help.
All true.
Oh, and I'm sitting there going, there's not one chair in this house.
Yeah, it's fine. No, there is one. There's one for
I
me.
see it's a throne,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right there.
Lord Blackthorns.
Oh,
Yeah.
please.
I'm good. Right there. I got a chair. Don't worry. I got a chair. We're good here.
You got a throne. What more do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to put in a bathroom. See,
Yeah.
some people can have more than one throne.
You know, just following on Nemesis here, and thank you for sharing with us, the creativity that Ultima Online players bring to this great game, and obviously Nemesis here has an incredible keep that. Looking forward to exploring in a dedicated player home tour in the months ahead with Nemesis, and learning a little bit more about his life and story with Ultima Online, but. Most Ultima Online players have at least one item of special sentimental value to them. Like for example, myself, I'm currently exploring the first season of the Legacy Shard. One of my most prized items as a player is a bulletin board that players have been leaving messages on for essentially the very start of the Shard, including visitors to our guild citadel. Just south of Trinsic, your developer colleagues like Hyronics and Parallax. For me, it's a prized possession. It's probably the most valuable thing that I think of for myself as a player. And I'm wondering what that looks like for you, Bonnie.
I'm sorry. You lost me a little bit.
Sure. What is one item of special sentimental value to you as a player?
That's really hard for me to say because being in the position I'm in, it's really, I mean, if I wanted, I could, as Mesanna, not as my player, I could have anything I want. So
Correct.
the specialty is kind of off.
Mm-hmm.
It's more the interaction with people than items for me, I mean, I still have, like, do you guys remember whenever you used to be able to cook body parts and get jerky?
Sure do. Sure do.
I had to kind of make sure I wasn't saying that horribly,
Right.
The thing, it was an actual thing, believe it or
It
not.
was. I remember, this was back in TC1 days.
Okay.
As my player, I killed a dev without realizing he was a dev.
Oh my goodness.
And I went to go get the bounty. And
Oh yes.
he's standing there going, "You killed me." And I went, yeah. I said, I just come to collect the bounty. I said, "Are you worth anything?" And he goes, "Well, of course I'm worth something." And then sure, he put a price on it, so I just got it as my player. I thought that was funny. So yeah, I the weird stuff is what I like. It's like I still have the original rugs, and I still have, all the stuff from early days. The latter days, since I've actually this involved in it, I don't really try to collect as a player anymore because it doesn't mean the same.
That's really interesting. Yeah, and that does check out that for you as a developer, and the developer powers that you possess, it's much more precious to you the memories that are created over time with your colleagues, your co-developers, and of course the player community.
Oh, definitely. You're gonna love this. I have to tell this one.
Please.
I was just a QA, and we're at the bank, and it's not good for a player to say they are a dev or they work on UO or EA or whatever it's at, and I'm sitting there going, "You're a what?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a dev." I said, "A dev for what?" Because I knew all the devs.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm calling one of the devs, on the other channel, and I'm like, "You need to come to Brit and Bank just as a character, not as a dev."
Right.
So we kind of egged him on a little bit. Can you make us this, and can you do that? Things that we hear all the time that we get really sick and tired of.
Uh-huh.
So we threw it back at him, and he's like, "Well, oh, I could, but I don't want to get in trouble." And I'm like, "Yeah." So he asked him one more thing, and he goes, "Yeah, I can give you one of these." And then all of a sudden he became a GM, in front of his eyes. And he goes, "You know what? You're busted. You're now getting banned for impersonating an employee." But I'm sorry, it's really funny. Or it was to me anyway.
Yeah.
Shamynfyre, you got next.
Let me see. Your husband, has served as the lead QA for many years.
Mhm.
What's that been like for you as a couple working on the same MMO at a very high level?
It's fine as long as he realizes I'm the boss.
Tell him how it is. Tell him how it is.
Well, honestly, the first probably 10 years, nobody knew we were married because we didn't act like a married couple at work. We kept it separate.
Yeah.
And then whenever it started getting out, somebody went, "You're not married." And I went, "Yeah, I am." I said, "To him." And they're like, "Oh, damn." Yeah. I just don't think, rubbing shoulders or whatever at work is what you should do. So we never
Oh
did it.
no. Of
Yeah.
course. You had mentioned that you guys had actually met online as players
Uh-huh.
in the realm, I
Never
believe.
winner.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
All
apologize.
right. We did play the round though.
So you were used to kind of working together from the start.
This is true. We have been like right next to I mean, we even work right next to each other in the same room,
That's awesome.
So yeah, we do everything together. Like I said before, I got to marry my best friend, and to this day we're still best friends.
That is the way to go. That's the best.
So Bonnie, I got to ask. So you both discovered Ultima Online as players, and then eventually found opportunities to join the team and work on this game. What does it look like for you to play this game, to experience this game as a player in 2025? And do you and your husband, Michael, aka Misk here, get up to shenanigans in game together still?
The last question first. Yes, we do. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we play really well together.
Mhm.
We've played several games like DOC. We love to play little munchkins and stab people in the back and run away. It's see if we can do that. I wish UO had that, but we don't. That would be so cool. Can you imagine that?
I think a lot of players could. There's a lot of players that pine for those anarchic early days. So
I know, it'd be so cool. It's like both of us get on the same person and go, "Okay, hit." We'd hit it. Of course, they'd drop immediately, and then we'd run away like little rats, scurrying away in different directions, so nobody could really, target us. So yeah, that's what we do.
got you. So you enjoy a little bit of Dark Age of Camelot from time to time as well?
Yeah. Well, I used to. I haven't played that in a long time, but
Okay.
whenever they started shutting down servers and changing stuff, so we didn't really go back to it at that point.
Got you. I know that the Dark Age of Camelot team is also under the Broadsword umbrella. Do you occasionally have any contact with them? Do you guys support each other's developers? I'm curious what that looks like at Broadsword.
As a developer, no, they don't they have their team and we have ours.
Okay.
Talal is the producer. So I talked to him, quite a bit,
Mhm.
nothing like just giving ideas for the store, what they can sell and stuff like this. And,
Mhm.
just general play game stuff.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool to hear. Any contact with the good developers for Star Wars: The Old Republic as well, between the Ultima Online team and those folks?
No,
Mhm.
not really. We used to a long time ago, whenever we were at Mythic in Fairfax, but it's a little hard to connect, since they're still in they're still in Texas.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to wait for a minute because we're all remote, so it really doesn't matter where you are. Everybody's remote. So I think our team is in like 4 or 5 different states, so we're pretty spread out, which makes it, good for everybody because we're happier. I hated traffic going to Herndon. It was horrible. So
Yeah, actually, that's another great sort of point that you make. What has it been like? What are some of the what was it like transitioning from an in-person team to a fully remote team, and what's really worked about that experience, and what do you feel might have been lost in that transition?
we didn't let anything get lost.
Okay.
Our communication has stayed on point, our creativity. And if hiring people, we use the same structure as before. Of course, it's a little harder to hire somebody and talk to them over the phone and not really see their face when they're talking,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
But after a while, I'm sure all of you that have been on the internet in one way or another kind of can get a feel for this person's got an ego, or this one seems a little arrogant, or this is really creative, or whatever, you're thinking. But after a while, you kind of get to read people a little bit, but then again, they can always disappoint you. So it's always taking a chance, you know. But I don't think UO has suffered in any way other than the team was not able to irritate me. So, oh no, you don't understand. The team when we were in Herndon, there was a big room and all the devs and the artists were in that room, and I'm in the office right next to them, right?
Okay.
So all of a sudden you hear this, "Bunny!" It's the most irritating. I mean, so irritating. It was, and I'm coming in there going, "Stop that!" What do you want? So then they recorded it, so it was really loud. Everybody on their phone or computers or whatever, and they would just keep "Bunny, bunny." I'm like,
Driving up the wall.
oh God, yes.
Bunch of trolls. Bunch of trolls.
Trust me, yes. And then, of course, the shame, bell. Shame, shame.
Shame.
Yeah. No. I think the most fun I've had on any given day was at Mythic when we were in Fairfax.
Mm.
The whole company played Nerf gun war.
Oh, nice.
We all had Nerf guns. You would not believe the amount of bullets that were laying on the ground, or darts, or whatever you want to call them. When we were done, it's like, oh Jesus, that's a lot.
Was the office inspired off the team over there in Herndon, Virginia?
We did not do in Herndon, we didn't do Nerf guns. Not had a
Oh,
but we
gotcha.
did fun. This was whenever we were in Fairfax.
Fairfax, excuse me, got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more people worked at that time. So
Gotcha.
it wasn't just UO or DSC, it was several different games. So, but that was fun.
That does
We
sound fun.
blew the whole afternoon playing Nerf wars. I don't know if you guys have ever looked on the Broadsword website. There's a
Mhm.
picture, and there's like a deer head in one of them that they
Mhm.
took a picture of, which is my office.
Oh.
And I found that I'm on the 8th floor looking over. This guy was actually, I don't know if anybody shoots archery or not, but I used to do competition archery, and I'm watching the guy shoot because he has the deer target, and he's shooting and shooting and shooting, and then he gets tired. He took it apart and he left the head, and I'm like, I'm going to get the head. So I ran down off the 8th floor and ran into to the bushes of the thing and got the head and came back. I thought yeah, I know. What can I say? It was mean, of course, but I don't care. I liked it.
Nemesis, you got next.
Let me pull this up. Don't mind me. I'm still trying to take care of puppies over here.
No problem.
That's quite all right. I'm trying to keep mine quiet.
All right. So what is one of your favorite Ultima Online expansions and why? The plot thickens.
Yeah. I think High Seas was
Ooh,
a
High Seas
really
is a
good
good
expansion.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones right there, but I think that a lot of work went into it. A lot of people, dedicated a lot of time to it, and I think it was pretty well received. So I think High Seas.
Nice. We're gonna need a bigger boat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, you do not know how bad I want to put this mega shark into the UO that just eats half boats, and just leaves a wreck. Then he'd spit it back up so they can have a dinghy or something, I don't know. But they wouldn't do that, so oh well. It's like, all right, can't have everything, I guess.
Shaman, you got next.
Oh, I was just gonna say, one of the things that I've really enjoyed kind of coming into UO as a new player is the fact that you can tame different creatures. And I was just wondering if there was one in particular that you might have kind of enjoyed more than any other, or if that was something that you liked in the game.
That's a great question.
That knowing that you have puppies too.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, we came up with that. Aren't they cute?
Yeah.
Let's see. Again, I go back to the old style. I don't know if you guys know this or even recognize it, but when Nightmares came out, there were like 4 or 5 different styles, colors. There's like the short mane, the black one, the dark one, the long mane, the blue, black blue one, so I collected every one of those. And then I thought I had a lot of fun with my white worm because it would turn into a guy, it's like in the middle of fighters that may turn into a man and you're like, what the hell?
Was that a bug?
Yeah, kind of like an Easter egg thing. It's
Easter
like,
egg. Gotcha.
It wasn't a bug, it was a worm.
Oh, Shamynfyre. Zing.
Sorry.
Well played.
Well played.
That was really good. I like you.
Shamynfyre is great. So is Nemesis. Merlin Pendragon says +1 on the UO Mega Shark idea. So you got some support from Merlin Pendragon. Bonnie.
Yes, and yes, until it eats his boat.
That's
Yeah, right.
Or we could pegling people. Shark got me. Oh God. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I have a really weird sense of humor sometimes.
it's great. It's great. You're
Great, yeah.
keeping me cackling back here. I'm enjoying this. Nemesis, you got next.
All right. So how has the transition from producer to customer support lead been for you?
It was time.
Mm-hmm.
It was time for me to step back some, with some of the health issues that I started having. I just didn't want to have to let anybody down or not do my job or anything else. So I thought it was best to put Greg in. Greg plays with the players enough to, know, and he's watched me as a producer and how I do things. And then he picked it up and did it his own way, with hopefully a little sprinklings, of my style in the mix. But I get to do things I want to do and not have to worry about the other things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over the GMs, of course, and I'm over the EM program.
Mm-hmm.
And it it keeps me busy, but not too busy that I don't have time for other things now. And I got a greenhouse and I planted a garden this year, and so I get to do some things that I just didn't have time to do during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I can do that now. So
That's a great answer. And Bonnie, let me just say that the player community has known you and your Mesanna persona for years now, and I think that one of the things that a lot of players would agree with is just how accessible you have been as a senior developer in a way that I think is very unique to the experience of being a player in Ultima Online, and you clearly care about each individual player, and there are so many stories of you going out of your way to assist players with a whole constellation of issues they may have with whether it's billing or their accounts or something in game. And so I couldn't think of anyone better to serve as the point of contact for the Ultima Online player community other than yourself. So I'm glad that this is something that you are now fully owning at the sort of next chapter of your career with Ultima Online as a developer. And Scarlet UO says +1 on peg legs.
oh, cool. We'll put that right in. Come on, guys. We need at least for if nothing else, a mob. That's a pirate with a patch and a peg leg and a parrot on his shoulder that you have to kill before you get on a boat or something. I mean, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Shamynfyre, you got next.
um, if you could send a message to every Ultima Online player, past or present, what would it be?
Thank you. Thank you for putting up with myself, the team. Thank you for all the ideas and suggestions that you've given, and thank you for making this game what it is today, because it's not just us. We didn't do it by ourselves. I know that the players helped make it what it is today because we do listen. We do get feedback, and it is appreciated if it's done respectfully. If you come in hot, I just delete the email. I'm not putting up with it, but if you're respectful, I'll read it and share it and everything else. But if you sit there and cuss me out and everything else, it's garbage. Don't even send it,
That's great.
That's wonderful.
That I was just going to say that was a great question, Shamynfyre, and also a really great response, Bonnie. I think it goes both ways here. If I think the Ultima Online player community as a whole could send a message back to you, it would be that. It would be thank you. And this is sort of the reason why I was so interested to hopefully host you on my Ultima Online podcast. Obviously, I don't have the history of this game as Nemesis here, and so many other players like him who've played Ultima Online off and on throughout their lives. But as someone who has long been fascinated with what Ultima Online represents, the pantheon of this new genre, massively multiplayer online role-playing games, I've had a deep, abiding appreciation for this game, and I think that the reason why thousands of players have a chance to still enjoy this game in 2025 is in part credit to your leadership. You have been.
Oh, thank you.
You have Ultima Online, and you seem to be kind of like mirrors of each other, if you will, given your long tenure with this game. First as a player, then as a test volunteer, then as lead QA, and so on and so forth through your own journey with Ultima Online. And I think that every player out there who's had an opportunity to play the game in the last 2 decades owes you a debt of gratitude for being so passionate about this game and for steering the team and both this game as a service through turbulent and changing waters, and doing so with a lot of grace and a lot of skill and a lot of passion. So this is our thank you to you, Bonnie, and we're just so very grateful that you remain a big part of the team moving forward, and that you get to own a portfolio that you have a passion for. Um, and as we begin to step away from this conversation, what is some of the things that you're excited to work on in regards to your portfolio with the event moderators who bring this game to life for players on a monthly basis, or just customer support in general for Ultima Online in this new chapter of your career with Broadsword?
It's kind of funny that you asked me that because, of course, I set up for all the EMs and I help them with their events and stuff like this. But what I'm having the most fun doing is I started doing pop-up events for the people during the day that can't get to the evening, events that the EMs put on and stuff. So it's just something like right now I'm going through all the shards playing Mesanna Roulette, and I'm not advertising this, but it seems to spread once it's done, but which is fine. And then I'm already starting to come up with a different game that I can, we can play. And I don't know if you noticed that the EM's putting on, like some of the holidays, putting on this big fair kind of thing, putting all the different games together, and they're controlling the games and stuff. I think that is fun, stuff like this is what I'm interested in trying to do, because I have no input anymore on the rest of it. Try to stay in my lane and not be involved because I want Greg to develop into the best he can be, So I backed out whenever I said I wanted to, go part-time. That was in the back of my head that I'm going to make my own little village over here and, leave them alone so they can do theirs in peace or whatever. So yeah, I think that's important. And that's what I'm looking more forward to play with the players a little bit and kill them as much as I can. And, so if I can. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback about the pop-ups, and I think the players are really excited whenever I, come up on their shard, and they get to, the actual characters on the shard get to play without a bunch of others transferring over, So
Well, there you've heard it. So I actually have heard rumors about Mesanna making appearances across the shards in recent months, and that's always been, kind of an exciting moment for players as they realize that you're active in your role as a developer, and also as a developer who engages with the player community. And I do think it gives a sense of adventure for players when they log in, never knowing if they can run into Mesanna in one of her deadly Mesanna Roulette events. So I think it's a great tradition that you've started and hopefully will maintain in this new capacity of yours, and hopefully you can work with your event moderators to come up with other exciting ways to enliven the game experience for Ultima Online players. I do want to turn to our great audience here, Discord at the moment here at the Wyvern's Lair More in Basement Voice channel. We are approaching the end of our conversation with Bonnie, Mesanna, Armstrong here, and I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to bring forward any questions you may have for Bonnie before we allow Bonnie to go back to her work and her greenhouse and good husband here and her puppies. So if you do have a question, I would encourage you to share that in the text channel for this voice channel. And again, if you have feedback or anything you'd like to share with Bonnie before we let her go away, you're welcome to do so as well, as long as, of course, it's respectfully relayed. Any last questions? Oh, we have something coming from Blind Auto. And he writes, "Thank you from Siege Perilous, and please tell Greg we want player bounties back."
that would be nice, but our rating, I'm not sure that they'll let us do that. We had to cut it out because we went from a mature game to a general GP game, and we had to cut out a lot of the bodies and a lot of the blood and all this other stuff and kind of calm down with that. So yeah, it would have to be a totally different system than what it used to be. But for Siege, I would love to see Siege have like your silver steeds back and stuff like this. So, one day maybe.
Thank you for your answer there, Bonnie, and thank you for your question, Blind Auto. And while we're waiting for other players to put in their questions or feedback here for Bonnie, any last questions for you, Nemesis? And thank you so much for being a part of this conversation because, as someone, as I've said elsewhere in this interview, you've had a long history with this game and you've been aware of Bonnie's role in shaping and guiding this MMO for many years. So I'm grateful to have a longtime player like yourself to sort of represent the veteran voice in this conversation. Any last questions from you before we, or any last things you'd like to share with Bonnie before we step away here?
Sure. No, thanks for having me again, Bonnie. It's been a pleasure. I think one last one. What do you hope your legacy is with the Ultima Online universe? I know it's kind of a big question, but what do you think?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I hope that people remember me fondly. Some will, some won't. I know I'm not always the most favorite person to some people, but I hope they understand that this is a job. It's not best friend game, There's a time to be nice, and then there's a time that you can't be nice, But overall, I just hope people understand that, as much as I love this game, I stayed with it this long, and I hope they can appreciate everything that I've done.
Very well said.
Yeah,
Very well said.
absolutely.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Nemesis.
I have one thing
Please.
I want to say. Whenever we talk about the pop-ups, and I know everybody's asked me over and over and over, I've done 5 so far, and the winners, I have to say that Europa is probably the luckiest shard I've ever seen. The Lake Superior only had 4 winners. Europa had 16 winners. Napa had 4. Drachenfeld had 11, and then Catskills had 8. So, yeah. Some of the shards aren't real lucky. And I will give everybody a hint. Don't say 7 14 times in a row. It just doesn't work out.
That reminds me of our longtime volunteer for the Ultima Online Player Wiki and moderator on the official forums, Mariah, sends her regards to you, Bonnie. I invited her to take part in this interview, but there was a conflict in her schedule, so she couldn't make it. But I wanted to make sure that we got that on record here. Now, this is something I'm not so sure what this is, Bonnie. So if I'm, if you don't want to answer this, feel free to. But I keep on hearing something about hot air balloons. What the heck is this?
I will kill you. I will hunt you down in game and kill you.
That's Xanadu. Kill Xanadu. He's right here on our Discord.
I will kill you. Seriously.
Stewed at that. Okay. All right.
It's been the bane of my existence.
What's the deal with these hot air balloons? I don't get the joke. You got to explain this to me.
Everybody goes, oh, we want to get a hot air balloon. I went, no. How about a magic carpet? Because we have genies in the game. That makes more sense. No, a hot air balloon. I'm like, no. Absolutely not. That is not UO. Just like Calvin wanted to put guns in the game. And I'm like, no. No. Let's stick to what this actually is, not, whatever. What are the shooting games?
That's a poor question for me. I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah. Anyway, no.
Okay, we got another question from Merlin Pendrager. Comment here says, "Don't mention glacial either." What's that?
Glacial, unfortunately, came about, and several other colors that are not wanted in the game from somebody that broke trust. That was an EM. And his player name was Klops, which I took every one of his houses and deleted everything in it, and then gave his houses away. But he made a bunch of tubs. That's why he promoted a lot of the restrictions or catches that players like EMs cannot make items and give it to somebody because it's deemed, only for them, that kind of thing. So, he gave away glacial tubs, and all of a sudden you start seeing glacial everywhere. I'm assuming most of you realize that when you can go and one of the EMs a long time ago had a GM make her a glacial pants for an event she was doing. And then the dog copied them, of course, and then they went and killed it. And then they got a copy, on the mob that they killed of the pants. So that was really exploited so badly, so much. So I don't know when's the what's what. So it's all gone. If I see it, it's being deleted. Not deleted, but turned back to 0. I just, it was from, and of course I have this very violent, because I actually respected and trusted this person. And yeah, it's kind of funny because they actually contacted me several months afterwards and was in where I live coming through, and he asked if we could have lunch, and he told me what was going on with him, and how sorry he was and how embarrassed, and and everything else. So yeah.
Got you. Thank you so much for helping me understand what that referred to. And I think this goes back to the importance of retaining the trust of the player community and making sure that people who are involved in this game, either as an event moderator, or GM, or developer, honor their responsibility to the player community. So thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for helping me understand that. It's an important thing to get across here. We have a couple of things from Scarlett UO here on Discord. She says, "Can't wait to see you on Chesapeake."
Yeah, I'm coming.
There you go. And they do have one question for you. What do you think the current most challenging thing in your new role is, either GM or EM related?
They're not challenging anymore. I mean, challenging is making sure that everybody gets, satisfied with what they need to get done, and, push it into the hands of people that will do it, instead of just, hanging in the ether here in my email,
Mm-hmm.
Just every day, just making sure that you're the best you can be, and that shouldn't be challenging for anybody, right?
Well said.
Yes.
Well said. We have a recollection here from Drake67, a longtime member of this Discord community. Drake writes, "I remember hiding on top of the bank and waiting for someone to drop something and pick it up. I still have my cloth map and hat pin." And that just goes to show, I think the significance this game has had for people who might not have played it for many years. It kind of remains a special memory for themselves. And once again, thank you for helping sustain that. Shamynfyre, a last question from you here for Bonnie, if any.
Can we hold off 1 second?
Of course.
To the last person, you were talking about cloth maps and pens. That's how we did our MIBs, from that cloth map. We would get the X and the Y, and go and find where the treasure was, the MIB. So that is something that I will never forget. I think that's, an awesome piece of history for UO.
That is, I hadn't realized that. What does MIB stand for, Bonnie?
Message in a bottle.
Ah, okay. There you go. Over to you, Shamynfyre.
Since I am coming in as a new player here, what is something that you can recommend to me that you think is very special, or that you really enjoy about Ultima Online?
That's a very loaded question. The reason I say that is because it's, it depends on what you like to do. Do you like to, I have a friend that's a writer, and when she gets writer's block, she just goes in mines. She doesn't do anything but mine, and then she sells all her ingots, and I'm like, wow, this is whenever it was actually, worth something. It just depends on what you want to be, what you like doing, because it depends on your own creativity. If you come in here going, I'm bored, then you should probably leave the game. because there's a lot of stuff in this game to do. How many games do you know that you can customize your house like you can here? You know, so it depends on you, and your creativity and what you really want to do, because if you want to do it, you can do it,
Yeah.
for the most part, build it and they will come kind of thing. But yeah, I think I would have to know your play style before I could actually recommend something, that would be a legitimate suggestion.
What's your playstyle, Shamynfyre?
Well, I don't know exactly how to quantify it, but I did know that Mesanna had talked earlier about some creative things that she had seen, like creating a piano by layering different assets together. And that sounds really exciting. The idea of being able to sort of create things within the game that actually are persistent. And I think that's not something that I've seen elsewhere, and something that I really enjoy.
Well,
It makes UO what it is. That right there defines UO, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love that.
so speaking of defining Ultima Online, well, thank you, Shamynfyre, for giving us the insight. So based on, Shamynfyre's interest that you heard here, Bonnie, where do you think, what part of the game systems or design do you think she'd find, most enjoyable for herself as a player?
I don't know if she likes gardening or decorating houses, designing houses. I actually have seen some players that they actually farm out their skill of designing houses and decorating houses, and people would pay them to go in and decorate their house for them because they were a guy and didn't think that they thought underwear on the floor was good to have, and it's just not. I don't. But I see you kind of doing that kind of thing and then that way it also gives you some time to be a little bit more creative with everything that you have.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fantastic.
Thank you, Bonnie. We do have a question here from Merlin Pendragon. I think this will be the final question we'll be taking from the player community. Maybe one more, because I see one from Taka here. But Merlin asks, what's Bonnie's favorite virtue and vice?
Loyalty
Okay, good.
and chaos.
A good virtue and an apt vice, I think, for
Yes.
our good.
Everybody needs a little chaos in their life to keep them on their toes.
Yes.
But at least
Absolutely.
I hate people to lie to me. Just don't talk to me if you're gonna lie.
There you
basically.
go. Taka says, is there a chance we would be able to customize castles?
Is this the Taka that I know?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Taka, I'm gonna hurt you. Sorry. I'm not gonna hurt you, I swear. Customizing castles, that we have put out. Are you talking about if we're going to do that anymore? Yes, we are going to open it up and let players, continue forward with more designs. So I think was a really good thing to put in game. Players have the pride of saying, I designed that, and there's so many people that have it now, kind of thing. So that's going to be, hopefully they're going to continue on with that, and one of the next publishers, probably not 120, but open it up on TC1 so people can come in and design it, a keep or a tower or a castle or whatever.
Look at that, Taka actually getting some really exciting news out for the Ultima Online player community with that question. Thank you, Taka. Going back to house decorations and hiring people to decorate your player home, Scarlet Uo writes, what? I have Lord Blackthorn's silk underwear on my floor. There you go.
What are you hussing you? I'm not going to comment on that.
Bonnie, last word goes to you. This has been such a delightful hour of your time. I want to thank you for, soldiering through that technical difficulty you ran into on Discord. I appreciate you still wanting to make this interview, despite that frustration this morning. And again, just a wholehearted thank you for everything you've done for Ultima Online as a game and for the player community throughout your long tenure working on this game. Any last words that you would like to share with us before we head out of this conversation? And once again, this is not the final time I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to speak with you, but this is sort of, I felt like a really important conversation that I wanted to have on this podcast for the UO player community to just understand kind of where you're at and what you've given to this game. So final words to you, Bonnie, and just think of yourself as addressing the Ultima Online player community here.
I went part-time after 26 years because I did it for me, but I couldn't quit because I just can't quit UO, I feel like I own part of it, just like all of you feel like you should own part of it. Because all of us have done a great job, and made UO one of the best games in the world and longest lasting game, that right there should say something to everybody. So everybody should be proud. It's just not us. I want to give the golf clap to all you guys, with meaning. It's not facetious. And appreciation. I appreciate all the conversations I've had with you guys. I appreciate all the fun times, the jokes, and I really appreciate you letting me kill you. So thank you all very much.
The legendary, the deadly Bonnie Mesanna Armstrong.
Wow.
For Ultima Online. Thank you so much for joining us, Bonnie. It was a real pleasure speaking.
Thank you for asking me. I really appreciate it. I had fun.
And thank you to everyone here on Discord. I want to thank Annie Anomaly, Blind Auto, Drake67, John Merlin, Pendragon, Nord, Scarlet, UO, Tiamat, Violet, and Xanadu and Taka for joining us there on Morton's Basement to be a part of this conversation too. And of course, my amazing co-hosts, Nemesis and Shamynfyre. Couldn't have done that without you. Thank you both for making the time for this.
It was really nice meeting you guys. Thank you.
It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Hey, I also want to know, do you want to give the players what they want right now?
Uh-oh.
Should I go up in flames?
What?
He's ready to be sacrificed on the pentagram, I think. Bonnie.
I'm sitting here.
I can
Me
kill
too.
you.
Me too. I'm gonna stand here. I want to die with my friend Nemesis. We'll die together.
Me too.
Oh, I get wrecked.
Get wrecked.
This is got wrecked. He got sacrificed.
They hot air balloon again. Hold on a sec. Don't go anywhere.
He's gonna catch it too.
Sorry about that.
Oh gosh, it's been great.
I don't want to disappoint, of course. I get
Yeah, right?
it's
It's
Cheers.
Right. Bye, folks. Thank you all for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, y'all.